Hello, and welcome to the Steps to Happiness show on Soul Liberty TV. I'm your host, Teresa Greco. Are you ready to take that first step towards true, unwavering inner happiness? Are you like thousands of people who have everything they need, not want, but need, and still can't find happiness and fulfillment in their lives? If so, the Steps to Happiness show is for you. On my show, you will learn about the principles and practices that lead to true inner happiness. Because guess what? It isn't found in our external environment, but within ourselves instead. On my show, I hope to motivate and inspire you to tap into your inner magic and discover your life's purpose. Have you ever wondered what your true purpose is? Well, I believe it is just to uncover who you really are, to discover who you were meant to be in this lifetime. Together with my guests, we'll explore the latest physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being practices, and we'll advise you on the actionable steps you can take towards a happier, more fulfilled, authentic life. Are some of your relationships less than perfect? I'm here to show you how you can improve your home and work relationships. Are you finding that you're not achieving your goals because of limiting beliefs about yourself that are having you playing it small instead of living your big self? I'm here to help you to be more present and grateful for your life and to show up every day as the best version of yourself so that you can live the extraordinary life you were meant to live. Let me tell you a little bit about me. I'm a happiness coach. I'm a two-time best-selling author, the editor and senior writer at two Canadian magazines from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I'm a Reiki master, public speaker, educator of over 20 years, and an educational technologies consultant. I'm the founder of a personal development company that mentors others about embracing, honoring, loving, and celebrating their authentic self and achieving their own personal happiness and fulfillment. After feeling like I had lost myself in the living of my life, with commitment and self love, I was able to reclaim my life and arrive at true inner happiness. I feel strongly that what I have learned and how I was able to heal is now my life's mission to help to share others to do the same. Now, you might be thinking, what did she mean by she lost herself in the living of her life? Well, let me explain. Approaching 40 years old was a turning point in my life. Some people might call it a midlife crisis. It wasn't a midlife crisis per se, but it was an opportunity for me to start asking some important questions about my life. Perhaps questions that you have wondered about yourself. Realizing that half my life had been lived at that point, hopefully anyway, I began asking questions such as, is this all there is to life? Am I happy living the life I am living? Can I imagine living the same life for the next 40 years? And then there was the important question, am I living my life's true purpose and full potential? I felt as though something was missing, but what? What confused me was, on the outside, you could say my life looked pretty perfect. I had achieved all the things that society, culture, religion, and family said that I needed to have a happy life. A fulfilling career, two healthy kids, our own home, two cars in the driveway, vacations a year, lots of beautiful material things. So if my life checked off all the boxes, why is it that I felt unfulfilled and unhappy with my life? There was this feeling that I needed to be more and do more, and then maybe I'd feel fulfilled. I was running on what's known as the satisfaction treadmill, which is when we continuously shift our goals upward once we've reached them, and then we've got to keep running in order to feel satisfied again. But despite the more certificates, degrees, and job experiences I got, I still felt that I wasn't enough and I needed to be more than who I was. For fear of shame, guilt, judgment, and rejection, I kept my feelings to myself. I suffered in silence for a long time, feeling like no one could understand why I felt unhappy. The questions I asked were the catalyst to me realizing that I had lost myself in the living of my life and trying to please everybody else by being the perfect mom, wife, daughter, daughter in law, sister, sister in law, employee, friend. I wasn't honoring, respecting, and most of all, loving myself. I had allowed society, culture, religion, family, and friends tell me who to be. And because of that, I was always looking outside myself for happiness. I believe we're conditioned to think happiness is found external to us. Through the various principles and practices I'm going to share with you each week, I was able to realize that true happiness resides inside yourself and not in your possessions, in your positions, your titles, degrees, relationships, experiences. There was no more of this, I'll be happy when I get that job. I'll be happy when I get that new purse, when I go on that vacation. Happiness is no longer a goal or a destination. You can choose to connect with the happiness within you in every present moment, even when your external circumstances may not necessarily be the way you want them to be. Especially during a time like this, people more than ever are searching up happy and happiness on Google. People want to know how they can find it, where they can find it. And I'm here to tell you that you can search outwardly all you want, but you will never find true, unwavering happiness outside yourself because it exists inside you. That's where it is. And I'm going to show you how you can unite all aspects of yourself, your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual self, because you're more than just a physical body making your way through the world. Your superpower is found in your spiritual self, your inner magic, your intuition, your gut feeling. That's your spirit trying to guide you towards who you are. Our essential nature is love, peace, and happiness. But the world leads us away from who we are and causes us to feel worry and doubt, frustration, anger, and all the negative feelings we feel day to day. So it's important that we become familiar with the simple practices and principles that can remove the blocks that are preventing us from feeling the love, peace, and happiness that is always there at our core. So I hope you'll join me here on Soulivity TV each week as we talk about the ways you can nurture and connect with all aspects of ourselves so that we can stay grounded, centered, at peace, and happy. I'm so excited to be here every week to bring you the ways that you can arrive at your inner happiness. Each episode will feature two guests, and they will share with you the ways that they are tapping into their happiness and helping others to do the same. You'll hear from coaches, writers, motivational speakers, and those that are living their passion and purpose. I hope to motivate and inspire you to try some of the strategies, principles, and practices that you'll hear on the show to live a happier, more fulfilling life. I'm thrilled to introduce to you my first guest on this season of the show. He's the co-founder of Sports One Marketing and formerly served as CEO of the renowned Leigh Steinberg Sports and Entertainment Agency, which was the inspiration for the movie Jerry Maguire. He's a three-time international best-selling author, a top 100 business coach, the executive producer of Entrepreneur's #1 digital business show, Elevator Pitch, and host of the top entrepreneur podcast, The Playbook. He's also the executive producer of the Bloomberg and Amazon Prime television series 2-Minute Drill and Office Hours. David Meltzer, hello and welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks so much. I'm so excited about being here because this show represents exactly what my mission is to empower others to be happy and looking for 1,000 people like you that I know in your lifetime will empower over 1,000 to empower over 1,000 to make a lot of money, help a lot of people, and have a lot of fun.
Yes, that's your motto. And so, yes, I was just going to say that you and I share that common mission to want to empower others. And so maybe you could share with me why you're doing this. Like, why is that your life mission to do that?
Well, through my journey, I've had an interesting relationship with happiness. And originally, money bought happiness for me. I wanted to be rich because the only place where I was void of happiness was in under financial stress. I had a single mom with 6 kids since I was 5 years old who worked 2 jobs and packed my dinner in a paper bag just so we could eat as she filled up turnstiles at convenience stores with greeting cards. I had learned that, wow, the only time that happiness is missing in my life is when there's a financial crisis or stress. And so that relationship continued on and was reaffirmed when 9 months out of law school, I was a millionaire. 3 years later, we sold our first company for $3.4 billion in 1995. I learned how to raise hundreds of millions of dollars. And by the time I was 30, everything in my life affirmed the fact that money was the currency of happiness. It was the object of energy that I could put into the flow to get what I wanted to make me happy. But I ended up empty and alone. I ended up without purpose. I believed my friend Chris Gardner, who wrote the book Pursuit of Happiness, and I was pursuing as much money as I could, defining my life by my bank account. And through a variety of different lessons, I became the CEO of the most notable sports agency in the world, as you mentioned, Leigh Steinberg, which they made the movie Jerry Maguire about. So not only was I a multimillionaire in my 30s, but I had access to things that money couldn't even buy. And this was a dangerous combination. And I learned a valuable lesson about money at that time by losing it all. I lost over $100 million to come to the realization that money does not buy love or happiness, but it allows you to shop. And what I needed to learn was how to shop for the right things and for the right reasons. And for the last 16 years, I've been on that journey of learning not only the currency of money, that object of energy to put into the flow to get what I want, but a new currency, faith, the same exact object of energy that I put into a flow at a higher level of thinking to get what I want. So I live my life with the reconciliation of both currencies now, with faith that I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, the law of Goya, getting off my ass still, making everything happen. But instead of trying to get happy, healthy, wealthy, and worthy, I know I am happy, healthy, wealthy, and worthy. I use that energy to clear the interference between me and what I already am to allow it to happen.
I agree. I agree that my philosophy about happiness and mine's similar. I mean, I'm not as wealthy to your degree, but the same, similar to me that my life checked off all the boxes that society, culture, family, and friends said that I needed in order to be happy. That as I was approaching 40, it was that turning point in my life that allowed me to ask some very important questions that brought that awareness to me that I had lost myself in the living of my life, that in trying to meet the external expectations for who I was supposed to be, that my life, I had achieved a fulfilling career, 2 healthy kids, our own home, cars in the driveway, vacations a year, lots of beautiful material things, that I was that person that was meeting everyone else's expectations to, be the perfect mom, perfect wife, perfect daughter, sister-in-law, everyone that I needed to be. That then I reached a point that I didn't know who I was and that I was unhappy and unfulfilled. And it didn't make sense to me. It's like, how did I do everything that the external had told me that I needed to achieve and still feel unhappy and unfulfilled with my life? And it was because I was disconnected with my true authentic self. That through the show, we're talking about how do we connect with and nurture all aspects of ourself, or physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual self. And even though I was always connected to religion, I wasn't connected to my spiritual self as I am to the capacity that I am today. And what I have realized through that work with connecting with my spiritual self is that happiness is our essential nature. It's who we are, that when we were born into this world, we are love, peace, and happiness, but the world takes us away from that. And I'm also a student from the Course in Miracles. And that is where how I know that happiness is our essential nature, that it's who we are. And that people then place happiness outside of themselves as a checklist, right? To say, or as a goal that, oh, I just want to be happy. But it's like, did you know that you are happiness already? And it's like, well, why don't I feel happy? And that then speaks to what you just said about clearing that like static, or what, I call like those blocks that are preventing you from feeling the happiness that's inside of you. And so I don't know if you want to speak to that at all.
Yeah, I think understanding the ego within the context of the consciousness, and that we create interference, void, shortages, and obstacles. We create the struggles. And the purpose of the struggles, the failures, mistakes, and setbacks that we have is to indicate when we're doing that. And when we take that indication and knowing that we have a lesson to learn of to identify what need or trigger it is that's evoking the ego, the primal fears of the ego that takes the blood from our brain and moves it to our body so we can fight or flee, run away, or feed ourselves for human existence, or even fornicate out of the fear that we won't be a legacy or we won't procreate and end in existence. When we can identify the triggers of the ego and then learn to get to center, to neutral, to find the light, the love, and the lessons in who we are, that we are happy, healthy, wealthy, and worthy. And we can identify what we're doing to create the struggles, void, shortages, obstacles. And that's via understanding and being aware of pain. Pain is not a punishment. It's a
Mhm.
propellant. It propels us to a better place, a better situation, if we're willing to have an open mind and open heart and open hands in order to facilitate learning the lessons, to grow, accelerate, to plateau and
Mhm.
grow every day, not to live as a tube, food in, food out, paycheck in, paycheck out, but to live our lives expanding, growing, accelerating by learning lessons. As you have studied the Course in
Mhm.
Miracles, and also I have studied Sanskrit since the beginning of time before there was actual writing, you will learn that life is about lessons, and the lessons will
Mhm.
keep on coming until you learn them, until you learn that lesson. The greatest thing about lessons, though, that is more applicable today than ever, is that you'll forget every lesson. So instead of memorizing lessons and trusting the five faulty senses that we've been given in order to incorporate a collective
Mhm.
consciousness, understand and empower yourself to access those lessons, even lessons we haven't learned, the lessons of allowance and
Mhm.
attraction, the lessons of gravity, the lessons of Goya, all of the different lessons that allow us to expand, grow, and accelerate, to learn and to love, to find and seek what we want by utilizing our energy to clear what we already are. What changed my life
Mhm.
more than anything, and you and I sat in a very similar position. I call it, I was buying things I didn't need to impress people I didn't like. And that
Mhm.
summarizes the pragmatic world exactly where I stood, empty and alone. But the thing that changed my life the most is that one of my mentors, the Sadhguru, who's on my new TV show, Office Hours, explained to me that the way that I feel about my own children, the way that I love them, what I would do for them, what I would invest in them, how much I love them unconditionally. Although I'm ignorant and humble, hopefully not too ignorant and arrogant, but ignorant and humble, knowing that I don't know, knowing that I don't take myself so seriously, the thing that changed my life was when, whether you're religious or not, I believe there's a source, an omniscient source, an all knowing, all powerful source that feels the same way about me that I feel about my children and my mom and dad felt about me.
Mhm.
And once I realized that there's this omniscient, all powerful, all knowing source that feels the same way, I wish I was that in order to facilitate what I need to teach and to empower my own children. But imagine the confidence, the clarity, the balance, and the
Mhm.
focus that is provided in my life, that no matter what struggles, setbacks, failures, or mistakes occur, that I have this unbelievable source that's
Mhm.
pushing me through pain, struggles, mistakes, and failures to a better place, a better position. Because that's exactly what I would do for my children.
Mhm. Absolutely. And that source is always working through us, right? That life is not happening to us, but it's happening for us and happening through us, which is really cool, right? So not only is, things happening to the human collective on on a global level that's orchestrating things for our learning, but that through us, we're also navigating through a plane of learning lessons so that our soul can learn, grow, and expand. That is really our sole purpose, why we've come down here to earth to have this human experience, is so that we can learn, grow, and expand. And we're doing that all the time. Like, just as I sat here this morning, I was like, wow, what are the lessons that I just learned this morning? Like, and it's so exciting to know that at every moment that we're learning, that if we take a step back and say, wow, what did I just learn this morning, and how is that going to affect my day or my life going forward? So it's so important for us to surround ourselves with people like yourself, with those that are maybe further along on the path that we can lean on. And you're also, you speak so much to looking for help, seeking those that are experts in their field so that they can guide us along on our own path, so that really we're it's always about us, and we're just always learning more about ourselves, that everyone is just always a mirror for ourselves, that inside of everyone is the same stardust that's inside of me. And so we're all creating and co-creating with each other. And so I'm so thankful to be here with you, to co-create with you this morning. And so if you could also just, there are a couple steps that you believe can help us to reconnect with the happiness inside of us. If you could speak to those steps.
Yeah, I believe in daily practice, by the way, for that very reason, so that we could take inventory of what we want personally, experientially, giving and receiving wise. Receiving, to me, being the most important acknowledgement, the ability to acquire the knowledge of life coming through us, not for us, buying things we don't need, but not to us as a victim, wondering why. Instead of try. But when we understand taking inventory of what we want, we then can decipher who we can help with what we want and who can help us. Furthermore, we also can figure out our how. And once we figure out that there's lenses of productivity, of how we can provide the most value, lenses of accessibility, meaning how connected we are to others, as well as accessing what we want. Because if life's coming through us, we want to access what we want. We then want to appreciate it, which means add value to it, which expands it. Then the only way we know what we have is to give it away. That's called acknowledgement. We acquire the knowledge by giving it
Mhm.
away. What remains is a bigger vessel, which, whether you study Kabbalah or the Course in Miracles, that vessel then is filled with what we want, who can help
Mhm.
us, who we can help, and how we're going to get it done with the lenses of productivity, accessibility, and of course, gratitude. And if we do
Mhm.
so, we will keep expanding, growing, and accelerating by growing our vessel, giving it all away, allowing it to come through us with appreciation, meaning we add our own value to everything that we receive. If we do the what, the who, and the how work every day, we then will know our now. See, most people are stuck, or they procrastinate, or feel as if they're lazy because they don't know what to do. See, if you know your what, your
Mhm.
who, and your how, you can prioritize by what's most important to you, urgency being a subset of that importance, but you can indicate what the best and most productive thing that you can do by knowing what's important to you. And if you know your what, your who, your how, and your now, you then can apply your why. Instead of searching for what you already have, your health, happiness, purpose, passion, profitability, worthiness, you now, knowing the what, the who, the how, and the now, can apply your why, living and clearing the interference between you and that great source of omniscient, all powerful, all knowing being, to allow it to come through you with appreciation and acknowledgement, give it away, expand, grow, and fill it back up again. This is the key, these 5 daily practices. And it's okay to change your mind. It just means you're growing, you've learned. And I love the fact that you
Mhm.
say, I asked myself what I learned today, because I believe to create not only a repository of lessons and stories, but creating a system to access those lessons and stories. Because the thing about these lessons is we will forget
Mhm.
every one we've ever learned, but you have the
Mhm.
power to access them at any time, make it more efficient, effective, especially through technology, to access the lessons that are
Mhm.
most important to you.
Mhm. Mhm. I think the universe just brings it around, right? Like, we don't even have to go seeking for it. It's like, oh yeah, our higher self knows what we've forgotten. So it just packages that learning in another vehicle. So, another conversation, another situation, another circumstance. It's like, Oh, yes, that's right. Because we're all teachers and learners all the time. So as I approach a conversation with someone, it's like, okay, what are they teaching me that I need to learn or that I need to remember, or that I have to do that in my teaching, because somebody has asked me a question, I'm like, I know, yes. I'm not listening to my own advice here. Thank you so much for coming into my life and reminding me of something that I've forgotten. So even as I'm listening to you this morning, I've said, yes, yes, that's right. I was listening to Marianne Williamson this morning. And I'm like, yes, yes, that's right. So we don't even have to go like looking or creating a repository, because your higher self knows what you're forgetting, that it's inside of you already. But it's like, yes, yes, you need to be reminded of this today. So I'm going to make this situation come up that is maybe like troubling, right? That's those situations that kind of rub us a little bit the wrong way. And we're supposed to take a step back and say, okay, what is this teaching me about myself right now? And so that's the other thing, is that I can just let it go. I can surrender to the universe and know that it always has my back, that my higher self knows what it is that I need, and it's just propelling me through life. And so, David, I know you have to go. So I just want to thank you so much for being with us today and sharing your wisdom and I just wish you the best of luck as you continue to empower others, globally. And I can only hope to make the same difference.
You already are, and I appreciate you so much for empowering others to empower others, which is the legacy of happiness, the collective consciousness that you are a collaborator and a contributor to. Anyone that needs anything, the 5 daily practices, I'm happy to sign my book, send it to you, pay for the book and shipping. David at dmeltzer.com. Please join me in a mission to help people make a lot of money, help a lot of people, and have a lot of fun. Lastly, I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be here. And remember, everyone, be kind to your future self. Do good deeds.
Thanks, David.
Thank you.
Stay tuned, as after the break, I'll be speaking with Kristen Middleman, who will be sharing her story of how she chose to be happy above all else. We'll continue here after the break.
Life is full of moments. And when sickness breaks your momentum, from the 5 a.m. stomach bug, or stress and anxiety at work, don't forget you have Teladoc. Great care options by phone, video, or app. 24/7 access to doctors. And access to therapists 7 days a week. From anywhere you are. Day or night. Whatever it is, we're always ready to help. So you can get back to enjoying life's best moments faster. Life is good. Enjoy it well.
Visit a doctor today without even leaving your home. For as little as $19.95 per month for a family plan, you get access to board-certified physicians as often as you need it. And there's $0 for medical visits anytime, anywhere. Register now by visiting solivity.com/health perks. That's solivity.com/health perks. You can find all the Satana products at our Go shop on Solivity at go.solivity.com now. Shop for beauty products, skincare, hair care. It is all there at the Go shop. Go shop Solivity.
Welcome back to the Steps to Happiness show with Teresa Greco. I'm excited to introduce my next guest. She's a professional bodybuilder and fitness model, amongst other amazing accomplishments. Kristen Middleman, welcome to the show.
Hi, Teresa. Thank you for having me.
So, why don't we start off by you telling us a little bit about yourself?
Hi. Okay, my name is Kristen Middleman, and I'm a biomedical scientist that practiced intellectual property law for decades and had 5 beautiful children. Their ages range between 8 and 18. I'm married to one of the leading geneticists in our country, and I lived a pretty fulfilled life. Somehow along the way, I started working out to try to lose some of the baby weight and found my true passion in fitness. So I'm here today to talk to you about how you go from wearing all these hats to following your heart and becoming a bodybuilder.
What are the ages of your children?
8
Like
to
from what to
18.
what?
So my oldest is 18, then I have a 14-year-old, and then I have triplets that are 8.
Wow, that's amazing. Plus you working your career and in all the different areas too. You're a fitness model, but then you're still involved with the scientist part of your job too, right?
I am. I follow my passion. So if I find a cause that I think is worth pursuing, I pursue it. And so I've taken time off in my career. I've taken time off being a full-time mom. I've just decided at every given point of my life what feels right, and I follow that.
Mhm.
And right
And
now,
that's
um, yeah, right now I'm back at
that's
work and I'm doing the bodybuilding stuff when the kids are at school.
right. And I think that's really about how we live our happiest life is following that passion and those places and things that maybe we're participating in that provide us that feeling of happiness. But it's not necessarily the activity that's doing that. It's just that we're able to feel the happiness that's there at our core by following our passion. And so you've done that. Now, I could imagine that when you decided to leave your career as a scientist and a lawyer to become a professional bodybuilder, that might have been a bit of a challenging transition for you. So maybe if you could talk to us a little bit about, because I would say there's some stereotypes of what a bodybuilders are like, and maybe around their capabilities, and you coming with from a PhD and going to professional bodybuilding. Like, so what was that transition like for you?
There were a lot of biases, and it was a difficult transition. I'll be very honest. Like you said, the fitness world in general, but bodybuilding even more so, is considered a very egotistical, for a lack of a better word, or vain sport where you work on just the outside of you. Whereas being a doctor or a lawyer, as I practiced before, people tend to respect you and feel that you're an intellectual being. Um, and also, most people pursue fitness younger in life, and then as they grow into their 30s and 40s, they go into motherhood and then maybe building their careers. Whereas I'm sort of doing it backwards. I built careers younger in life and had the children and fell in love with fitness afterwards. But the truth is, I didn't realize that I wasn't following my passion until I started working out a lot, until I was at the gym every day, until I started feeling happy from that one-to-one relationship that goes into the exact amount of work that you put in, the exact amount of effort leads to results at the gym. You can't buy it. You can't know the right person. There's no way to build that physique unless you're actually putting in the effort. And that really interested me. And then as I continued to pursue it and get better at it and become a stronger version of myself, I started to believe in myself and to be more confident. And I found myself being an example for other women that thought maybe it would be impossible to do something like that after having children or while working. And that really ignited a fire in me, and it made me really want to pursue this even more. Because for one, it wasn't just for me. It was for being able to reach other people around me and make a difference. And I think that passion follows me around from one part of my life to the other. Um, so I decided that I wasn't going to listen to all the naysayers. I wasn't going to listen to everyone that told me that this is a midlife crisis and that I was just trying to get attention somehow. And I was going to follow my heart. In some way, they were right. It wasn't a midlife crisis, but it was a midlife realization, maybe even a retrospective look into my life. I had always wanted to please others. I grew up on a Greek island, moved to the United States with my family when I was 16, and wanted to make my parents proud. My parents always wanted to have an intellectual child that was a doctor or a lawyer or something in that matter. So I became both. I was a top student my whole life. I got scholarships to medical school at Baylor College of Medicine. I achieved all those things that you want to achieve. I married my best friend. We have a great relationship. We have these beautiful children. So I had checked off every mark, per se, on the book that you look for, but I didn't feel complete. And in thinking about that and trying to realize how how is it that I have all these blessings and all these amazing aspects of my life all set and they were all going perfectly, but I don't feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. It was such a
Mhm.
confusing time for me, and I decided that I had to listen to my heart and I had to start following it and doing things the way that I wanted to do things. I had spent my life trying to become a happier person by making others happy. And what I didn't realize, that's like trying to see better by wearing someone else's glasses. It just doesn't
Mhm.
work. Um, we all see differently, we all feel differently. And so you have to follow what's inside. And as much as bodybuilding is an outside sport, I promise you that my growth and the change in me is mostly internal. And it all starts from the inside. And I was able to believe in myself, to trust myself, to put away the noise, to even be selfish sometimes and say, I'm going to do this for me. You know, I'm sure you've seen my Instagram page, and there's a lot of sexy photos of Kristen that show off all this hard work that I put in the gym. And that's not a normal mom Instagram. And I get quite a bit of criticism about that. And I decided I love those photos because those photos highlight that I was able to do something I thought was impossible 2 years ago.
Mhm.
I was able to live a dream that I would have told you couldn't come to fruition if you would have asked me a few years ago. And I was able to do it because I believed enough in myself to just keep going. So that's sort
I
of my
love
answer
all.
to the question.
Thank you, because I feel like we're living parallel lives. So from
I do too.
basically from the beginning of the show, where and that I shared, so much of my own personal journey, and it's very similar to yours. That I was so caught up in living according to everyone else's expectations that I reached, approaching 40, and I didn't even know who I was because I wasn't living authentically. And I think it takes a lot of courage in order to say, I need to do this, like for me, that when I reach the end of my life, I don't want to look back and have regret and say, I didn't do this, I wasn't this person, I didn't have the strength or courage to like speak up when I needed to. I didn't really like honor, respect, and love myself the way that I should have, and I allowed other people to dictate my life. And I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to have the next half of my life be like that. And so, and I hear that strength in you, because you going from, really that one of those careers that and professions that people regard, so highly, to, being a body and a fitness model, which, on the scale might be like down here, but yet you had the strength inside of you to say that I need to do it for me. I have to follow my happiness, regardless of, what other people are going to say about it, how they view it. I have to do this for me. And I think that is what following our happiness is, that which is inside of us. It's not determined by looking outside for those things or experiences or possessions, titles, degrees. All those things are going to make us happy. It's like listening to that
Yeah.
to that voice inside of us that's saying, this feels really good. Like when you said you went to the gym, it's like this feels really good, and I feel most like me when I'm doing this. So, what does it take then to follow your dream? That you work really hard at what you're doing, and your pictures demonstrate that to the world how hard and like the amount of discipline and commitment you have. And that's really what it takes. If we are going to live our authentic lives, it does take commitment. It's not like we choose to do it one day and then next week's like, well, whatever, I'm just going to sit on the couch. This is way too hard. No. So maybe like, and I feel like your pictures really attest to the dedication and commitment you have to living your passion. If you could speak to us a little bit about that, please.
So every day I wake up, I have the same six meals. So the day starts with egg whites and spinach, and then we go to chicken and asparagus and some rice, and it goes on and on. But I have the same six meals for weeks and weeks at a time until my coach decides to tweak it one way or the other. I have to fit an hour and a half workout for a different body part in each day of the week, and depending on which part of the prep that I'm in, I am doing between 1 hour to 2 hours of cardio a day. So yeah, it definitely takes a lot of commitment. It's not something you could do for attention or to look good in a picture. It wouldn't be worth it. It's something you do because you truly feel a calling towards bodybuilding and towards becoming a better version of yourself. For me, bodybuilding is mostly mental. I find myself very tired. I find myself not as motivated from day to day. And so I realized that I have to be mentally strong and continue the plan that I made and stay resilient. And that, and being able to do that makes me feel fulfilled because it shows me that my mind is stronger than my body and my mind dictates what happens with my body. And I really feel comfort in that because I feel like your mind is something you can control. You can find that peace inside of you that will push you to become the best version of you at any point, and you can reset. I do feel like we're works of art, and inside and outside, and that I am ruthlessly editing my work of art here every single day. And I find that I want different things at different parts of my life. And I think that's okay. Some people may have one passion and that's their passion and it's been forever. My husband fell in love with genetics at 15 years old and for the last 25 years has done nothing but genetics and he is super passionate about it. And I understand that. But that's not how my life unfolded and that's not how my path unfolded. And so, for me, I I do what I have to do to be successful in whatever I'm choosing to do at the moment. And if people are judging or people don't like what I'm doing, I choose just not to listen at all. I hear it, I understand it, I even relate to it, but I'm hoping to prove to them that you can't stereotype people into categories based on careers, based on looks, based on responsibilities, based on anything. Honestly, every one of us is different, and every one of us is pursuing what we should be pursuing, which is our own happiness. And I think that all these limitations and biases lead to a world, especially in social media era where everything looks perfect, um, lead to a world where we have all these restraints on us and we put all these responsibilities on us that take away our happiness and at the end of the day make you feel a little empty.
Mm. And it's beautiful that you're able to make time for your happy place and actually have made it like a career for you. Right. So that's also something that I speak to people about, that if it's possible, when you're even trying to figure out, what do you want to do with your life? It's about finding those areas that feel effortless to you, that doesn't feel like work. And I'm sure that it's like that for you, that even though you've managed to make it another career for yourself, that it doesn't feel like work because it's just an extension of yourself. Now, I think also part of your story is important to say that you were, not only did you have, all these people, the naysayers and the ones that, had the negative opinions, but to be able to stay on track, how important it is to also surround ourselves with people that believe in us and that maybe see something in us that we don't see in ourselves. And that can also give us that little bit of motivation to continue to keep going and staying on the path that we've decided to take for ourselves. And so I have you found, a tribe of people, and I'm sure you have, because
Absolutely.
of, where you are with what you're doing, that have helped keep you motivated?
Absolutely. So it starts with my family and it transitions to my good friends, my trainer, my coaches. They all believe in me probably more than I believe in me at times. They know that I'm willing to put in the work and they trust in the process. For me, and I will be honest, where I lack mentally a little bit is just letting go and trusting that things will happen exactly as they should. I am a perfectionist, so I'd like to control everything. I've learned to control the controllables and let the rest of it go. And I've learned that I'm more motivated by proving the few people that really believe in me right than proving anyone that doesn't believe in me wrong. And so I do it for them and I do it for me because focusing on the negative actually is a negative and it's bringing that into your life. It's a kind of energy I don't want to feel. And I choose to focus on the positive and to just keep going. And that I think is what's made me successful in the sport. It's allowed me the opportunity to just learn to trust and to just do the work.
Mm. Now, is there a balance between, because many people get focused on the end goal, right? Which is like very much about, how they see happiness as well. They see it as a destination, that happiness isn't found for them in the present, which it is, that if we understand that happiness is really part of the journey, that we can be happy every day as we're working towards something. So in your line of work, I would say that there's a balance between, and I'm just wondering too, from your perspective, versus what you want your body to look like. Like now you are at top shape, but let's just say where you were at the very beginning, right? That maybe what you want your body to look like. That's your end goal, but like every day, how important it is to take those small steps towards, and to be positive about it, and to reward yourself along the way, and to be proud of the little accomplishments that you're making and the small changes that you see in your body that eventually are going to add up. But how important it is for us to pat ourselves on the back and say, I'm so proud of you, and look at a small change, like look, it's a couple pounds lighter on the scale, or half an inch has been lost, or an inch has been gained, whatever, in your
Whatever, yeah.
situation. But is that something that you've done as well, is to really to be proud of yourself, of the journey that you've had to where you are? And I think has it been 2 years now that you've been working on this,
It's
on
been two
yourself?
and a half years, and
Mhm.
2.5 years. And Teresa, I have to be honest, that's exactly the part that I love. I love the journey, not the end goal. So for me, I guess in bodybuilding, the end goal would be winning on stage and being celebrated. And I have been successful and I have been able to win on stage. I just got third place nationally, which is amazing. But that part doesn't fulfill me as much as the daily process. The daily process has become part of my routine, and it's part of what allows me to keep going and what makes me stay motivated. And with bodybuilding, it's actually super cool because you only look your best for about maybe like 48 hours on stage. And after that, you immediately go into this off season, which is the stage that I'm in now, where you're purposely gaining fat so that you can now build more muscle underneath the fat because you can't build a muscle without it. And then you train a lot harder, you work out a lot harder, you're eating a lot of food. And when you're ready for your next show, about 3 months out from that, you start cutting the fat and you become lean again. And by the end, you look your best. So the first time that I went through the process, it was actually mentally the most challenging thing I have ever done because you go from looking your absolute best. Everyone out there is like, oh my God, this is unreal. How did you do that? And you're feeling so proud of yourself. and I mean within like a period of 2 weeks, gaining 10, 15 pounds and realizing that, oh, I can't see all that hard work that I just uncovered. It's all covered again. And everyone that doesn't understand the sport comes back and tells you, "Oh my gosh, what are you doing? And, why are you gaining all this weight? Have you changed your diet?" And you start to second guess yourself and you start to wonder, why am I doing this? And that's part of what I meant by saying trust the process. So my coaches, my trainers, they know that's all part of the process. But for me, I was like, what am I doing? And they told me just to believe in it. And I did. And when we started cutting down the second time, we looked so much better than the first time. In fact, one day I'm going to post the first show versus the second show just to show people, because we were able to put on all this muscle underneath. And if I hadn't followed the process, it wouldn't have worked. So I think a lot of this translates into real life. We can't control every part of our life, right? We can't control if the kids have a great day or have a bad day. We can't control how everything goes at work. We can't control that, a pandemic has taken over most of our country for some time now, right? There are things that are out of our control. And if we can learn to trust that we will be okay and we know that we are doing our best in that situation at the moment, then you tend to be able to be happy even in a bad situation. Whereas it's very easy not to trust and to get anxiety from being in that situation and to want to change things. And I think that's when we find ourselves forcing life more so than we should, and maybe a little bit less happy than we should be. And I don't know if you agree with that, but that's how
No,
I
I
think about
totally do. It's about being in the flow, and all we can do is choose to be for us to choose to be happy, because we can't control anything outside of ourselves. We can't control really. We can't even like our partner or our kids. Never mind what's happening on a global scale. We can't control any of that. All we can control is us staying in our light and staying in our truth. And by doing that, we are actually the energy, the positive energy within ourselves is actually like vibrating out into the universe at levels that we can't see. Because as you referred to glasses before, I always say, if only we could put on these glasses that could see the energy that is radiating from those that are like positive and staying in their light and being their happy self, that there's so much, like, really our superpowers are in that. And there's so much positive energy that's just radiating out into the world and is having an impact even on those things that we can't control. So I totally agree with you on that. So my last question for you today is, what has your journey shown you about happiness?
it showed me everything about happiness. It showed me that happiness is internal, 100%. That happiness, it comes from truly understanding yourself and allowing yourself enough grace and love to follow what's in your heart versus what's the ideal. And it it really takes someone that's strong, someone that's brave, and someone that cares enough about themselves. And I know that sounds selfish, but it's not. To want to pour into their own cup before they pour into others. Um, like my grandma used to say, you can't pour from an empty cup. She's right. And you can't be a light in this world if you're constantly lurking in the darkness. So if you the best way for us to make a difference is to let our light shine the brightest we know how. And the only way to do that is to find our happiness and our truth. And is my way the right way? Absolutely not. Everyone has different ideals. It's just my way. And so I say this to people. I get a lot of people to reach out to me about fitness and how they can go through the journey. And I love helping just anyone that wants to start this. Um, but I love helping anyone, anybody that's interested in any part of finding themselves. It doesn't have to be about fitness. It doesn't have to, and you can see my captions on most of my photos, even though the photos are fitness photos, are not about fitness. They're about finding yourself and following your heart. Because, like you, I feel like I finally figured it out. It clicked. One day I realized what was wrong. I realized why I was being empty and I changed it. And it made a huge difference for me. And if I can help even one more person, switch that turn that switch off or whatever it is and just start believing in themselves, then that to me has a lot of value.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Kristen, how can people get in touch with you after the show?
So my Instagram handle is at fit_tx_19. So at fittexas19. And I'll respond to my messages. I get a lot now, so it might take me a couple days, but I'll always respond. And I can also be found on Facebook as Kristen Middleman. And that's it. Those are the two ways you can get a hold of me.
Thank you for being with us today and sharing how you followed your joy by being your true, authentic self. I'd like to leave you with a thought for the day. The mission of the Steps to Happiness show is to help you connect with the true happiness that resides inside yourself and is not external to you. Yes, you might feel temporary pleasure when you get that promotion at work, you find that new love relationship, you go on that vacation, you get that designer purse. But you'll realize that once that feeling of pleasure wears off, you're left feeling unhappy and looking for that next thing to make you feel happy again. That's because those examples that I'm talking about are for pleasure and not happiness. True inner happiness is unwavering and is always there to tap into, even when your external environment or circumstances may not necessarily be the way you want them to be. You can still choose to be happy. And that is what this show is all about, to give you the tools that you need to feel happy on the inside. Thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to being with you again next week on the Steps to Happiness show with Teresa Greco.
Connect with Teresa Greco after the show for coaching, workshops, and speaking engagements, you can visit her website at teresagreco.ca or by email at stepstotruehappiness@gmail.com or follow her on Instagram at Teresa Greco _steps to happiness or on Facebook at Steps to True Happiness with Teresa Greco.
Have you ever asked the question, if I was to be anything, what would I be? Regardless of money, regardless of status, beyond popularity and fame, living your passion, feeling your life has purpose. Solivity is a space to nurture that which lives in all of us. A place where work can become play, and doing what we love creates the dreams of a lifetime.